Learning how to cook navy beans is really easy. Just like with a lot of other southern bean recipes, I'm using some smoked meat to add a lot of flavor. I'm using one ham hock. I would say it's between half a pound and 3/4 of a pound, probably around 2/3 of a pound, honestly. What I did is I took some of my homemade vegetable stock along with some extra water, and I boiled the ham hock for 1 hour on medium heat. As I was getting my ham hock ready, I started prepping my navy beans. Here I have 1 pound of navy beans. I rinsed them and then I put them into this pot, and off to the side I heated up some water. Not to the point of boiling, not to the point where it was hot. I would say it was warm, and I put the water in this pot to cover the beans by 1 inch. I didn't have a lot of time to soak the beans, so I wanted to make sure that the water was a little bit warmer than normal to help the soaking process speed up a bit. As you can see, the beans have swollen, so that an hour later I added some more water. If I wanted to continue soaking them, I personally would add some more water just so that they're covered, but I'm going to cook them now, so I'm not going to. Here in this pot, along with the ham hock, I have 1 medium onion chopped and 3 cloves of garlic. It's going to be really full of flavor. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to simply take my navy beans, soaking liquid at all, and I'm just going to pour them into the pot. And notice I did not boil the ham hock in a lot of water. That's because I was soaking the beans off to the side, and if you have a lot of water in this pot plus water in the pot with the beans, once you add the beans to the main pot, the pot may overflow. So just be careful of the amount of water that you use. Now I'm going to turn on the heat. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to start cooking the navy beans. My navy beans have been cooking on medium heat for 1 hour and 15 minutes. I've come by and stirred occasionally, and I flipped the ham hock a few times just to make sure that all parts are getting cooked evenly. Now I'm adding some extra ham. I made a ham shank last week, and so now I'm using some of that in my navy beans. I'm probably going to cook the beans for another 15 to 20 minutes. So if you're going to add extra ham like I am, I would put it in 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 15 minutes before you plan on serving. That way the ham has enough time to flavor the broth and to start to fall apart a little bit more. So far, I have not added any salt or pepper or any sort of seasoning. The ham, especially the ham hock, has a lot of flavor, and it has a lot of salt as well. So I would wait until right before serving to season these navy beans, because you don't want to over season, especially over salt the broth. My navy beans have been cooking for 1 hour and 20 minutes, and actually now I tasted them and I think they're done. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the heat to minimum, and I'm going to take the ham hock out of the navy beans. I'm going to let it cool off for a few minutes. Then I'm going to take out the meat. I'm just going to pick at the bones, put it back in to the bean pot, and then I'm going to turn the heat back on medium, add in my seasonings, and then after everything mixes together and continues cooking for 5 minutes, I am ready to serve. Honestly, I think you could serve it like it is now. So say 1 hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes to cook the navy beans, but I want to get them a little bit softer. As I was taking the meat off of the ham hock bone, I lowered the heat down to minimum, guess mark 1 out of 6, just so that I wouldn't overcook the beans. As you can see, this ham hock did not have that much meat, just a little tiny bit. It was mostly bone and skin, as well as fat. Now I'm going to turn the heat back up to medium and add a little bit of extra water. I think these beans need maybe 15 more minutes. But before I add any pepper or garlic powder, onion powder, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I believe I saw this on Chris Cook for You2's YouTube channel. I know she really likes onion soup mix, and I saw a video in which she was making beans, and to the beans she added onion soup mix. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring my pot of navy beans back up to a boil on medium heat, and I'm going to add 1 packet of onion soup mix. I think this is going to add a ton of flavor. It's been about 10 minutes since I added the onion soup mix. I tasted the broth and it's really delicious. Chris Cook for You2 had a great idea. I'm going to add a little bit of extra seasoning. Here I have about 1/4 teaspoon each of black pepper and garlic powder. I'm going to sprinkle that in. Now I'm just going to stir that in. I'm going to continue boiling for another minute or so, just so that the seasoning has enough time to really incorporate into everything. I'm going to taste the broth to see what else it needs, and if it's good, it's time to eat. I just finished cooking my navy beans with ham, so now it's time to serve. I decided not to add any more seasoning, so all I did is I added the packet of onion soup mix and the bit of black pepper and garlic powder. No salt needed because smoked ham is already salty enough. Here are my beans, and then of course a slice of cornbread. If that isn't Southern, I don't know what is. As I already said, these navy beans turned out really well. I think that the biggest takeaway from this recipe should be that if you are using smoked ham, whether it be to make beans or soup, be careful with the salt because smoked ham is already fairly salty. Another thing to keep in mind is that, as you saw in this video, even if a ham shank is fairly large, sometimes they don't have that much meat, so you might want to add some extra ham. And once again, thanks to Miss Chris for the idea of adding onion soup mix to these navy beans. I honestly think that is what really made this recipe good. In my opinion, unlike black-eyed peas or red kidney beans, navy beans don't have a lot of flavor on their own, so they definitely need a little bit of help. And looking back, I probably could have added a full 1/2 teaspoon each of black pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, in addition to the onion soup mix. As you saw, a pot of navy beans would go great with a pan of cornbread or a pot of rice. So when you're almost done cooking your navy beans with ham, you should definitely start thinking about the side dish. Now that you know how to cook navy beans with ham hock, I hope that you give this recipe a try. It's great as is, or maybe even as the base for a navy bean and vegetable soup with some ham. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.